Good morning, Kitchissippi. It is Saturday, January the 9th. This is a video version of the 245th Kitchissippi Ward newsletter. I thought it'd be fun to resume these under absolutely beautiful winter skies. The first item in the newsletter deals, of course, with COVID, as all of my newsletters do. A reminder that the best place to find the most recent information is on the Ottawa Public Health website. We have seen a very alarming spike in cases in the past week or so, and from what I am reading in the media, it sounds like there are more stringent measures to help protect against that coming up. Of course, in the newsletter and in my updates, I will try to make sure that people have the most recent information. It is critical that we follow the advice of our public health officials. Absolutely don't have any kind of close contact with anyone who is not in your household. Please wear your masks. Dr. Vera Etches is encouraging people to do that when they are outside as well as in, and make sure that you are washing your hands. One of the items in the newsletter is with respect to the outdoor rinks. I'm here at Fisher today, where there's a very popular rink in operation. The city has put out orders with respect to the rinks. They have a limit of 25 people on them. If you are within 15 meters, roughly 48 feet of the rink, you are required to wear a mask. You're not required to wear a mask while you are actively skating, but health authorities certainly encourage you to. There are 4 refrigerated rinks in the city, one at Lansdowne Park, another one at City Hall, 2 more, and for those, in order to maintain the distancing that is required, you do need to start booking. I've got some details about that in the newsletter, and of course you can take a look at the City of Ottawa's social media. Other items in the newsletter this week, I've also got a link to a very lengthy memo that the city sent to city councillors about plans for vaccination. I'm starting to get a few notes about vaccination. This week the city was able to start getting into the long-term care homes. I think many of you have seen a small lineup at the Civic Hospital of frontline workers who are receiving their vaccinations. It is going well from the city's perspective. All of our logistics are in place, and I'm actually impressed with their ability to distribute the vaccine. I've read the same thing that you have in the news with respect to a shortage of doses coming into the city. I hope that is rectified soon. The city memo does describe plans to really expand the number of locations at which vaccines are available. I hope that everyone will take a look at that memo, which is available on my website as well, and understand what the vaccination plan is moving forward. I've resumed pop-up hours. I had a good restful holiday, and I'm back to having my weekly pop-up hours. Those are virtual now, so join me on Zoom, one-on-one, pop in, no appointment necessary. My next session will be on Tuesday, January the 12th from 11 o'clock until 1. Check the newsletter for the full details. The Embassy Row proposal at the NCC came up just shortly after I left on holidays. The National Capital Commission is seeking the zoning permission that they would need in order to build, I think it's up to 6 embassies, up to 3 stories tall, at the parcel of land that is just at the very north of Mechanicsville, sandwiched between Burnside and the Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway. I do have a open house set up now. Thank you very much, Fiona, for getting that set up. That's going to be held on February the 10th. Details are on my website, in the newsletter, on my Facebook page. That'll be an opportunity to talk to the NCC, its planning consultants, ask questions about the proposal, and provide feedback. I'm talking to some of the neighborhood folks about what some of our approaches could be. While an Embassy Row is in several different plans, both federal and municipal, I'm not certain that the timing is right to have this discussion with both a housing crisis and a climate crisis underway. Is this really the best use that we can make of that big open space? Still to decide my approach, but do be aware that that open house is coming up. Also in the newsletter, there is an item about 157 Holland. There's a small structure there that's proposed to be demolished. The builder is seeking approval of their site plan. Site plan is a fairly technical process. They already have the zoning permissions that they need. I'm not proposing to have an open house, but if you want to visit the development application site and provide me any feedback on the site plan that you might have, I would certainly welcome that. More details in the newsletter. And one has I've been getting more mail on recently. The Jewish Youth Library is contemplating acquiring the Sullivan House at 166 Huron and converting that into its library. They're not proposing to change the building. It is a heritage building. They wouldn't be allowed to demolish it or add on, etc., without more permissions. But they don't have permission to use that property for an institutional use. So if they went ahead, they would want to apply for a rezoning. I have an open house coming up on, forgive me, there is an open house that's coming up, I believe, in a couple of weeks, and I'm sorry it's off of my phone at the moment. And it is a look at what they're proposing, opportunity to ask questions of the Jewish Youth Library, so that I can provide them with some feedback. You can provide them with some feedback before they move ahead with an application. If they did decide to move ahead with an application, that would kick off a formal consultation. But I have asked them to consult with the community before they even apply. The January 13th Committee of Adjustment is coming up. It is chock-a-block with Kitchissippi items as usual, but many of these are simply severances. At 630 Tweedsmuir, they're looking to subdivide the lot into 3 separate lots for the construction of a new detached dwelling and then semi-detached dwelling with demolishing the existing detached dwelling. At 375 Madison, the owner is seeking to subdivide the property into 2 separate parcels in order to establish separate ownerships for the 2-story semi-detached that is currently under construction. At 320 Tweedsmuir, the owner is seeking to subdivide the property into 2 separate parcels of land in order to establish separate ownerships for the semi-detached that is currently under construction. At 36 Kenora, the owner is again seeking to subdivide the property into 2 separate parcels of land in order to establish separate ownerships for the semi that is currently under construction. And at 225 and 227 Carlton, the owner is seeking to subdivide the property into 2 separate parcels in order to establish separate ownerships for the 2-story that is currently under construction. There is also a resumption of the hearing that was being held and adjourned for 529 Broadhead. That one was seeking severance to divide the property to build a semi-detached dwelling. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to is the city has undertaken a consultation and is continuing it with respect to winter maintenance quality. So that's how well do they plow our sidewalks, plow our roads, etc. I have heard, and the city has heard for several years now, about particularly the quality of plowing on our sidewalks. This is your opportunity to weigh in as they determine what are the new standards going to be. I have an item that leads to that consultation and opportunity to provide input in the newsletter. At 245 Hinchey Avenue, that is a low-rise 3-story apartment building that the developer has been pursuing for some time. They've changed the proposal around a bit. I do expect that to come actually for a vote next week at our planning committee meeting. I do expect to be supportive of it, but we have posted the most recent plans on the website. Take a look at the newsletter for a link to that. One of the things that I'm really pleased with especially is Tom Brown Arena has opened up as a respite center. It's been operating 5 days a week, so that's during the week, during the day. It has seen hundreds of people drop in to get warm, grab a shower, grab a quick meal. They have some toiletries available, really serving people who are fairly vulnerable right now with the lockdown. That is now moving to 7-day-a-week operation, so it will be in operation 7 days a week from 9:30 until 4. I do thank the city for opening that center, and I especially want to thank residents and neighbors who have been very generous with donations, with their engagement with the respite center to ensure that it is a success in our community. There is also an application that has recently been posted, and I have a link to it in the newsletter, for 935 Wellington. That's in behind the automotive operation that is at the corner of Bayview Station and Wellington. They are seeking to demolish the house that is part of that property. That house is in extremely rough shape, and it's time for it to come down. They do need council permission in order to be able to do that. I'm moving that through the council process, but you can take a look and comment by following the link online. A couple of annual general meetings are coming up. Mechanicsville is going to be hosting its on January 26th. I have a link to its Facebook event page in the newsletter. Champlain Park is going to host its on January the 27th. Again, I have a link in the newsletter. A great opportunity for residents of Champlain Park and Mechanicsville to come out to their respective community association annual general meetings and raise the concerns and issues and topics that they want to discuss. I'll be available at both AGMs to answer some questions and give a brief update of some of the things that are going on in the neighborhood. I also wanted to point to the neighbors group who are appealing the development that Domicile got approval for from City Council at the corner of Roosevelt and Richmond. So that's in behind the Starbucks. That development was approved. I think it was a mistake to approve it. A 6-story mid-rise building that extends deep into the residential neighborhood. They have expended some significant dollars working with the planning lawyer and with planning consultants. They're nearing that conclusion. That's been a bit of work over the past several months for everybody, but that is now nearing its conclusion. They have a shortfall in terms of fighting that battle of around $18,000. I have instructions, or I've passed on in my newsletter their request for further donations. I voted against that development. I think that it has a really legitimate case to make that it is absolutely inappropriate for our neighborhood, and I hope that residents will demonstrate their support by supporting the residents who have been appealing that in a very expensive local planning appeal tribunal process. There is, in my previous newsletter, I took a preview of Planning Committee next week. I'm expecting that one to have a few interesting items. The 243, 245 Hinchey is on there. There is also a really interesting application at 33 Maple Grove for a relatively sensitive low-rise apartment complex on one of the main streets there. It'll be curious to see whether or not council approves that or not, but I posted an agenda to that meeting online and certainly hope people will take a look. We are back in the office. It is extremely busy. A lot of things piled up while we are taking some holidays. This week I expect to have a number of discussions, particularly around the Burnside Sir John A. Macdonald NCC proposal. I'm also pursuing eliminating the driveway from the 1705 Carling proposal that leads onto Tilbury. I have some reason to be hopeful on that front. And there's also a lot of feedback coming in from the Byron Highcroft Athlone sewer rebuild project, and I'm working through some of that feedback and chatting with staff, advocating with them to incorporate some of that. There is a full list at the top of my blog right now of the complex development files that are on our plate. It is an extraordinarily long list. We try to keep that current. It can be a lot to try to keep up with. I hope people will take a look. And otherwise, I hope people enjoy a good week. Please enjoy it at home. Enjoy it not in close contact with anybody outside of your household. And do stay tuned to your email. If I have any email updates with respect to new COVID measures, I will be sure to pass those along. Kitchissippi, have a great week, and thanks for watching.